Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching the episodes that you have, and I'm grateful for everybody that watches. So tonight we have Keith West that we're going to be talking with. It's kind of weird to say that. I've always known you as Bishop West.
Yeah, and now I call you Bishop Hoops, so that's.
So when we first moved up here, you were he was our bishop, and just awesome person. So I'm excited to talk to you and get to know you. Again, with most people that have been on here, I feel like I know you. You're a friend, but I don't know how much I really know about you. And that's that's what's been cool to learn about people, is their life experiences and stuff that, I don't know, you just never really talk about.
Someone needs to do an interview of you so it can be out there as well.
Well, my wife did one. I was planning to interview my wife, and she kind of flipped things on me and did it. Anyways, wonderful. It's on the thing, but
wonderful! I'm gonna go watch that.
I don't know. I wasn't real thrilled about it, and I don't like watching any of these. I watch some of them now, but I don't like watching them because I don't like watching myself, and I don't like hearing my own voice.
Yeah, I got you.
It's hard.
It never sounds the same, yeah.
No, it's terrible. But
no, you sound great.
Anyways, so let's just start all the way back like we do with everybody. So where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Okay. Yeah, I was born in Dallas, Texas.
What?
Yeah, Dallas, Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
So, born there, and I didn't live there very long. My parents actually, where the Dallas Temple is right now, if you were to go jump the fence and run down the street a few hundred yards, then you're going to be right there where the house used to be. And I think they've really improved the neighborhood there. But my parents, that was their first home that they bought. Anyways, had it right there.
Really?
Near the Dallas Temple.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long were you?
Oh, I think I'm a year old or so when we moved to Oregon. So my father, he used to fly for the airlines. Okay. And when they moved to Dallas, he was getting out of the Marine Corps as a jet fighter pilot.
Oh, wow.
And so he got out of the Marine Corps and flew for Braniff Airlines. Braniff is an old company that went bankrupt.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that kind of the beginning, you used to have Pan Am and Continental, and they all followed the same suit. But Braniff was one of the first that went bankrupt. And
really?
So my dad started there, and then that was their first home. And then he transferred up to Oregon with that airline.
Okay.
And then we lived in Gresham, Oregon, which is right there, part of Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So if you know where Mount Hood is in Oregon, it's you see it if you're standing in Portland, you're looking up at Mount Hood up there. So that's Mount Hood.
Nice.
And so my dad's family with the West Line all comes from that area. That we're all from Hood River, Oregon area.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the beginnings are actually Ogden. Ogden, we came over with the pioneers, and we established Ogden. We were my great grandfather was the first bishop of Ogden, Utah.
Really?
Yeah. And then he was a polygamist, and it was from his first wife had a number of sons, and one of the sons took off with the railroad and went up to Oregon with the railroad and living in a boxcar. Yeah, right there. Yeah, I know, kind of crazy.
Nice.
Landed themselves in Hood River, Oregon. It's a logging town, really, right up there, part of Mount Hood with all the trees up there, logging. Wow. So my grandfather was a logger, and so my dad My dad did that in the summer times, worked with the logging and doing that, and he said that was the hardest physical labor he'd ever done was
yeah.
logging up there on Mount. So
Wow.
so we lived in Gresham until I was about, I think I was 6 or 7 when we moved down to Texas, went to Houston, Texas again.
Okay.
Okay. And then that was the location where when we were living there, that was when the airlines went bankrupt, that airline. And so my dad went out, well, he helped start a lumber business there in Houston with another fellow. And the two of them started it, and he was flying. He got on with another airline out of California, actually, and was flying for like Total Air was the name of that airline, and then it became Hawaii Express, and then all these starting airlines. And so he was commuting all the time and gone a lot.
Darn it.
And then he finally said, well, we need to move closer, but I don't want to live in LA, which is where I'm flying out of and based out of.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm gonna move us to Mesa. And so when I was 14, we moved to Mesa, Arizona,
nice.
and that's where I did I was in high school, was in Mesa. And
So was there any like family and stuff in Texas, or that was just happened to be where these airlines were based?
so my
on?
mother's from Texas. She
Okay.
grew up in a little town called Goliad, Texas.
Okay.
And so when my dad and my dad was flying in Beeville. There's a military base down there, and he met her there.
Okay.
And so my dad was not active. He wasn't raised active in the church. His aunt had came and got him when he was 9 or so years old and said he needs to be baptized, and kind of scolded my grandparents and took him and got him baptized. But other than that, he really didn't know much about the gospel.
Oh, yeah.
And so he,
Interesting.
they were living the military lifestyle, and my mother was raised Southern Baptist.
Oh, nice.
And so they had my brother and my sister, and then they were kind of done. They had a boy and a girl. They were done. And then my mother had a rough childhood. She really came from a very poor, broken home childhood.
Yeah.
And she says, I want my kids to have better than what I had. She really wanted to improve. She wanted the white picket fence, the whole go to church on Sunday, the whole enchilada, wanted everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so she wanted to join a church or go to church and take her kids to church. And when she approached my dad, he says, well, I'm a Mormon. And my mother didn't even know what that was, and he says, all I know is I know Joseph Smith's a prophet. That's all I know. And so he says, if I'm going to investigate a church, I need to look into that because my family line comes from that church.
Okay.
And so kind of upset my mother, but he listened to the home teachers and to the missionary lessons, and they kept coming by, and he wanted to learn about what he believed in, what was his church.
Right.
My mother was listening in the kitchen, and then she said, oh, you know what, I want to be baptized. And to the surprise of the missionaries, I don't think they had a clue she was even listening at all in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so they got active in the church. My grandparents got active. And about the same time, and anyways, they said, okay, we want to have more kids, and thank goodness, because I was the next one. So I was about 6 weeks old when we were sealed together as a family in the Salt Lake Temple.
Wow.
Yeah. So technically, my younger brother's the only one born in the covenant, but yeah, I was sealed to them at 6 weeks old.
So you have, how many siblings do you have?
So older brother, older sister.
Okay.
And then I have a younger brother down below me, so 4 of us total.
Okay. Nice.
So Sonia, Jeff, and Chad. Yeah.
Nice. And are they spread out all over the?
Sonia kind of stayed in Houston when
Okay.
when we moved to Mesa. She says we kind of abandoned her.
So,
But she stayed there and has been there ever since.
so you were 6. How was she?
No, I was 14 when
Oh,
we
you were-
moved.
that's
Yeah,
right.
6
You were
when we
14.
went to Houston.
That's
But she's about 6 years older. She just graduated high school and was playing college volleyball and wanted to stay there and just be in Houston. That's kind of where she grew up, I guess, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we moved to Mesa, and so the rest of us are here. Like, but my brother, you know, Jeff's been in our
Yeah, yeah.
ward, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's now living up in Utah with
Okay.
his wife.
Nice.
And then Chad, my younger brother, is actually been staying with my mother, right, while he's working for Amazon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so now he just got a new position with them. He's actually going to be doing the drones. You know how they're delivering packages by drones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be actually helping them get FAA approved and do it in all these mini cities because he's worked with the airlines. He kind of followed my dad
okay.
and worked with the airlines, so he's got both Amazon and airline experience and dealing with the FAA. So he's actually been a pretty good job he's going to get. I'm pretty proud of
Nice.
him.
That's
He did
awesome.
really well. So that's my
Very cool.
siblings. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So, in elementary school, would have been up in Oregon or back in Texas.
So started,
Kinda
I mean,
split.
7 years old. So yeah, I remember first grade in Oregon,
Oregon.
and then second grade I remember in Texas. Yeah,
Okay, so it was early on.
Sam Houston Elementary in Texas, down in Houston, Texas. I don't know why I remember
Do
that.
they remember you because you were infamous? I mean, how were you as a,
No, I did a good job. I don't know what you.
were you a,
They remember me as an idiot, maybe. I don't know. But no,
how were you as a in like elementary school? Were you kind of into school or not really, or do you
into
even
school,
remember?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, normal. I think
Okay.
normal.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. To me, I grew up loving football. You know, that dominated my life.
Okay.
Um,
Even young in like elementary school.
yeah, well, my parents put me into we started off with flag football and then went
Okay.
to pee wee football, and that all started about 6 or 7 years old, and probably right when
Nice.
I moved to Texas. Of course, Texas is all about football.
Oh yeah.
And then when I was in Oregon, believe it or not, in first grade they taught me high jumping. In
Really?
first grade, oh, they're all track and field.
What?
Yeah,
Up
they're
in
nuts.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are the two things that I ended up doing, and all the way through is I high jumped in all the way till in high school,
Okay.
and I really enjoyed that. And then
So
football.
that's in Mesa. Which high school were you going to?
Mountain View High School.
Mountain View. Okay.
Yeah, so I was back in the late '80s.
Yep.
And so that tells you how old I am. But yeah, Mountain View was kind of the up and coming. You know, boy, you lived there, and it was like the Arizona Salt Lake City. You know what Gilbert is now. You know, that's kind of how it was back then. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So in high school, how were you in school?
So
Were you a
you
good
know, I'll be really honest, and if my kids watch this, they're just gonna have to deal with it. But I just wasn't the greatest student. You know, football and sports was where
Kinda
I dominated my time, and so
Yeah.
my grades were so. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right
for
on.
sure. Yeah, I like to hang out with my friends and
Yep.
all the typical teenager stuff. you know.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
most of us.
Yeah.
So then in high school you did track and football.
Yeah, I wish I would have done basketball, but I did. Because what do you
I'm
play now?
surprised that you didn't play basketball.
I
Huh.
know. Our
That's
coach, our
interesting.
football coach, was really a stickler about going into off-season football and things like that. And so he really,
So he wanted
I
you.
wish I wouldn't have listened to him. I wish I would have done it. But I just didn't really. I only played like church ball. That was it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I stink at basketball, but I love to play.
You do not.
I love to play.
You're
Oh,
awesome at
yeah.
basketball.
I
You're
pl-
good.
I say I play football underneath the basket. You know, and that's what I do the best. Is I foul everybody.
No. I've
So.
played basketball with you a few times. You're pretty. ugh.
I don't know.
It's impressive. Anyways, so what position did you play in football?
Okay, so when I was young, when in high school, I played tight end and linebacker, and so yeah, I wanted to go play defensive linebacker in college,
Okay.
and so I had NAU come down, offer me to go up there, and they gave me a scholarship.
Nice.
And so I sat in my living room with them there. But I was also talking to, in my senior year, I was talking to ROTC recruiters because I wanted to fly airplanes like my father, right? So I wanted to go do that.
Yeah.
And so my father had actually played college football up in Oregon.
Okay.
And so this would have been in the late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
And so he was, I think, well, he was born in 40, so it would have been like 59, 60-ish or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And he kind of played there, and it was a big school. Oregon State was actually a pretty big Pac-12 or Pac-10 at the time
Yeah.
school, and very competitive. And they had the Heisman Trophy winner quarterback come in and take his position. And so that's what he says. Okay, I'm mad about that, and he got out of there and went to the military. He flew airplanes with the military. So when I was having the ROTC guys come around and talking to him and thinking about football,
Yeah.
he pulled me aside and he says, "Well, are you going to play in the NFL?" I go, "Of course not. I'm not good enough to, can't even make Division I. I mean, I'm not going to play in the NFL." He says, "So be careful how much time you spend in doing that. It sucks up a lot of time and energy, and I bet you could get like a scholastic scholarship just as well as you could do a sports
Okay.
athletic scholarship." So I was really grateful. He guided me there, and he said, "If you're really serious about football, go to community college,
Yeah.
play there, stay here right next to us."
Yeah.
And then if you're good enough, they'll pull you up to Division I. You'll play for like ASU or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went and played at Mason Community College.
Okay.
And I wanted to play a linebacker, and then they said, "Well, no, you need to." They had a couple tight ends that got hurt. One got hurt. One was ineligible. And so they pushed me into playing tight end, and I wasn't as good at that. That wasn't my talent. And so then I just, after that, they wanted me to come back the next year and play tight end again. And I just said, "No, I don't think I'm going to do that."
Yeah.
And I was getting to go to my mission time. And anyway, so I just didn't do that. But I'm really grateful. My dad said, don't put too much stock into it, because if you're not going to play NFL, why put that much effort? Do it into something that'll give you benefit later on.
Yeah.
Then he also, my father, when he used to work in the airlines, he was gone a lot, and poor guy was working. He'd be gone 3 months at a time sometimes, and I wouldn't see him.
Wow.
But a few days, and then he'd head back out, or maybe a week or two, and then he'd be gone for another 3 months.
Yeah.
And so I felt his absence in my teenage years. He was gone, just trying to get something established and get going.
Yeah.
But he was working out of Michigan area at that point.
Okay.
And anyways, when I said I want to go to the ROTC and I want to do this, I want to fly as an airline pilot, he said, "Well, you have, you've been through this. You've seen that I've been gone a lot. You've seen all that can happen."
Yeah.
He says, "What about looking into being a veterinarian or a dentist?" And I went, "Well, I don't want to be a vet. I mean, I love animals, but I don't love animals,
Yeah, right.
And I think someone that really loves animals got to do that." So anyway, I said, "Okay, so I'll be a dentist," but I don't know anything about dentistry or what it would entail or if I'd like it or not. I just kind of followed my dad's advice.
Wow.
And so those 2 times he gave me that really good advice. I listened, which is not usually what I did normally in my life, but
Right.
I listened, and that was a great blessing for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So you decided to go military, or you went on your mission first?
No,
Or-
actually, I did not. I know
Okay.
that's kind of unique. So
Okay.
my brother came to me with this harebrained idea of joining the
Which brother?
Jeff. Jeff.
Okay.
He's the gung-ho Marine.
That's right.
Yeah,
he
he's
was-
a gung-ho
okay.
Marine. Yeah.
Right.
So, anyways, he said, "Let's go into the Marine Corps together, and then you can." They agreed with me that if I was in the reserve, I could get all the benefits for the schooling, go to schooling, right?
Yep.
And then they would let me go on my mission midstream. So I actually went into all the training, and I was in the Marine Corps for about 11 months, when I then left and went on to my mission and served my 2-year mission.
Okay.
And then I came back and finished my military time.
Oh, wow.
I know, kind of
That's pretty
unique.
cool.
Yeah, I know. So
Nice.
that was the way it went.
Where'd you go on your mission?
Puerto Rico, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Nice.
So I was originally called to go to Cali, Colombia.
Really?
Yeah, and so at that time, Colombia was just barely reopened. So if you know any of the history of Colombia, they went through the really terrible cartel wars and things, and
Yeah.
and it was pretty violent there. And
Yeah.
I guess some of the missionaries got hurt, so they closed it down for a number of years.
Oh, wow.
And then they were just reopening it. And I would have been the third month of missionaries going back in, right?
Okay.
And so when I was in the MTC, and I was probably not even quite 4 weeks in,
Yeah.
they pulled me into the office and said, "We're not sending you to Cali anymore. We're going to send you to Puerto Rico." And
wow.
they couldn't get a visa cleared because I'd been in the military.
Oh.
So they would have seen
Okay.
that as a danger to,
Like you're a spy or something.
yeah,
right?
something crazy like that. So I didn't get to go to Cali, Colombia.
Oh, wow. So
No.
you went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
No, it was good. I really
Spanish
enjoyed. Yeah.
speaking, right?
Yeah. So I didn't even finish at my MTC time. I didn't have any of the discussion trainings or anything. They sent me out in about less than a week. I was going with a group to Puerto Rico, and so I just went
my
and winged it.
goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
It was fun. It was good.
Yeah. It was good.
Puerto Rico's great. A lot of people speak English, especially
Okay.
in the city area.
Okay.
And if you go out into the middle of the island, we called it the Campo, more of the middle, I don't know, inland,
Yeah.
woodsy area.
Yeah.
You go in there and smaller towns, and people didn't speak as much English there.
Okay.
But probably the greatest people in the middle. Not that they were all wonderful, but
Yeah.
there was an area called Ay Bonito.
Ay, bonito.
Yeah,
Okay.
sort of like Ay Bonito. I think that's where it got a name.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Nice.
Anyways, it was beautiful. It really
Yeah.
was up in the mountains, and that was my favorite area. People were amazing out there.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
great place.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So you come back. You're back in the so you went into the Marine Corps?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you come back and you had like a 4-year agreement or what? How
It was actually, it's an 8-year agreement.
Okay.
So there's 2 years of what they call inactive reserve. That's where I was on my mission. So I was not an
okay.
active reservist at the
Okay.
time. And then I had 6 years of what's called active reserve. So going
Okay.
in on the once a month, and then 2 weeks in the middle of the summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the place I'd have to go down to was the 39th Avenue and the I-10 right there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I had a Navy Marine Corps little building base, whatever you want to call it. And
Okay.
yeah, that's where we'd go and
That's where you do
waste
your-
a whole lot of time. Yeah. Well, the military saying is hurry up and wait, right?
Yep.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You just think it's just mind-bendingly breaking.
Yeah.
With just
Yeah.
sitting around and waiting and then doing nothing, and then you'd have a certain period of time where you did something, and then you would have a whole lot of time of doing nothing. It was a lot of that. So we would get really good at grabbing rocks, and we'd like set up a can or do whatever and see
Yeah.
who could throw it and hit it, or
Yeah.
any of the crazy stuff that
Anything
you
to
would
pass the time.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Now, as reservists, you get called out to things, right? Like if there was an emergency, did you get called out to any?
No, I actually missed it all.
okay.
So when I entered in, that would have been when was that? That was probably 90. It was right after Gulf War I.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think it was August is when I went in of 91. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And or somewhere in the middle of summer, somewhere in there. So actually they were doing cleanup from the Gulf War I. So I got a service medal. Like I actually served in a war, but I didn't really.
Nice.
Yeah, right. It didn't mean anything. So I mean, I just was in training during that time, and then I got out in '99, and of course Gulf War II happened. What 2001, 2002,
Yeah,
somewhere around in
yeah.
there, and so I just missed it.
You're right in the
But
middle of
many times I was called by the base or whoever was. We have a platoon, and someone would call you and say, "Get ready, we're on standby."
Yeah.
And so the biggest threat that we were on standby with the most was North Korea, believe it or not, during that time, the 90s. That wasn't even the Middle East.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting, huh?
That is interesting.
So my job was to fill was a gas mover and storage or person. So it's called bulk fuel,
Okay.
glorified gas pumper, basically.
on.
You know, and so
For what kind of anything?
So yeah, I mean, tankers, tanks,
Okay.
airplanes, stuff like that. So one of my summers, I went out to Luke Air Force Base and sat in a wonderful air conditioned facility, and then go out and fill up the F-16, and then come back in and sit and watch the Olympics. They had a snack bar and all kinds of stuff. I mean, Air Force does it right. I'm telling you, they do it right. At the Marine Corps, we were eating those crazy MRE things and living in a little tent out. I mean, they didn't do anything for us, but it was great. You wanted to go with the Air Force. They had a good.
If you want to go into the military, go for the Air Force.
They treat you right.
They treat you good.
Yeah, so it was fun. No, we had a good time. Yeah.
So what was your motivation to go into the Marine Corps Reserves? Like, was it not that you needed a motivation, but was there like a...
My brother wrangled me in, but I also needed some money. I just wanted to and money for schooling. I thought it would pay well with the GI Bill, which it did, but boy, I don't know. I don't. I mean, you look at it, if you kind of average it out, it's peanuts compared to how much time you spend with the Marine Corps. Yeah. But I was grateful for every penny I got. You know, it was good. But I thought it would be an asset to go to school.
Okay, right on.
Yeah. So my brother went active duty.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and I was reservist. So we entered in at the same day together.
Okay.
And they harassed us tremendously for that.
Okay. All right.
But they didn't figure it out until about halfway through the training.
Really?
Yeah, same last name.
That you were brothers?
Yeah, they had no idea. It was great.
That's awesome.
But once they found out,
it was not good.
Yeah.
It was not good. Darn it. Okay, so are you going to school while you're in the Marine Corps as a reservist, or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the way that worked was I did a little bit of schooling, of course, when I played football.
Yep.
And then went in the Marine Corps, and then came back, went on my mission.
Yep.
But that's kind of where my desire to really study came from, was on my mission. And my patriarchal blessing told me to get an education, and really stressed that in my blessing. And so I kind of focused on that when I came back. I had a really good friend that I watched him, how he studied and what he did. And so when I came back from my mission, I just said, I'm going to do what he did. And I did that, which was, I mean, you just basically are sacrificing a lot of your time. You're not going out and hanging out with your friends, and you're studying a lot. Yeah. And I just watched him and did that, and that helped me when I came back. And then I went to school then and really focused. Went to a year of Mesa Community College. Yep. I went back, had to kind of repeat some stuff because before I left on my mission, again, like I said, everything wasn't focused. I was more into sports. Oh yeah. And then thank goodness when I came back from my mission, I entered in, and I started making the good grades. I really applied myself, and then went to ASU, and didn't get a bachelor's degree, actually, believe it or not. I was able to get into dental school with about 3 years of schooling. They let me in early, so. Wow. Yeah, I was grateful.
That's awesome.
Not very often does that happen, so I felt very blessed.
Where did you end up going to dental school?
Portland.
Oh, yeah. Back to Oregon.
Back to Oregon. So I got accepted into Iowa, Iowa State. Okay. And so when I flew back there was a blizzard, and it was terrible weather, and nothing but cornfields. And I said, okay. And then I got accepted the same day to Oregon. My family's from there, my cousins, I was like, my grandparents were there. I said, definitely. And I also got in-state tuition because it was a contractual agreement with Arizona. If you came back to Arizona and worked for 4 years, they would pay the out-of-state tuition portion. Oh, so sweet. that was before they had dental schools. So now they have dental schools, and they don't do that as much. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was okay. So MCC, ASU, and then up to Oregon.
Hmm.
So it's like 7 years of school, right? Six.
Yeah, it was about
7
7 and a
years,
half. Yeah.
7.5 years
Yeah.
of school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did we skip over like where you and Ron Lynn
Yeah,
met? Okay.
yeah.
So let's go back to that, I
Okay,
guess.
perfect. Yeah, okay. So right out of high school, so we graduated in May, and
Okay.
then in July, I went up to Thatcher here at EA,
Yeah.
and played in an All-Stars game for football, right?
Okay.
And so
This is when you're playing for MCC?
no,
Oh.
well, I hadn't even accepted to go there yet.
Okay.
So
This is
I know
before
that's
that.
kind of crazy, but that's kind of when it all came together. Was right after that All Stars game. They approached me and I went,
Okay. Okay.
But at the All Stars game, of course, I went there thinking, I want to get a scholarship. This was really what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I walk into that EA college, and I'm walking down the hallway, and I see this girl surrounded by all these guys, and of course they're talking to her because she's beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so then I turned to my buddy Jason. And I said, I'm getting a scholarship. That's what I'm focusing on right here. So then, but we ended up at that event. She was doing basketball, so she's the basketball star. Is my wife. She was there doing All Stars. She went to Safford High School.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, she went and we kind of go into this TV room, communal TV room area in the EA where the dorms are, et cetera.
Yeah.
And watch TV. Anyways, I ended up talking to her friend. Her friend, Nicole, was just an absolute socialite,
Yeah.
loved to talk, really outgoing. And so I just
Yeah.
started talking to her. But then in the process, found out that Ronlin was a member of the church. Of course, I started talking to her about a little bit about the church, and then we just started talking. And then over that week, we just kind of got to know each other. Then we would kind of visit each other. She would come down to the valley, and of course, I would go up there when I could. And it was kind of casual at the beginning, but then a little bit before my mission, we started getting a little more serious.
Okay.
And then, I just knew I had to go on a mission.
Yep.
She wouldn't have anything to do with me unless I
Yeah.
went on a mission. So
Right.
I went on a mission. And then about, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, she gets her patriarchal blessing.
Yeah.
And it said that she would go on a mission. So she writes to me on my mission and says, I'm going to go on a mission. And I thought, fantastic, because you'll get home after me, which means you'll be there, which
Yes.
is great. I mean,
Yeah.
I never thought she would have been there because someone would have came in and swooped her up. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, anyway, so she ended up going to South Dakota, Rapid City Mission.
Right on.
6 months, let's see. She went a year after I went.
After you left.
So she got home 6 months after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then.
And then when she came home, boy, of course I went to work, trying to impress her.
But you guys have been writing during your
Yeah.
mission. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah.
Right on.
The funny thing, and this is a funny story.
Yeah.
So I was getting after her all this time, please, you got to write, and of course, until you get on your mission, you don't know how important that is. So then she gets on her mission, and then she starts writing me better. And then at some point, somebody goes, you need to sacrifice things to become closer to the Lord. Show the Lord you're willing to sacrifice. And I go, okay, I'm gonna say now only write me like once a month, kind of a thing.
What?
And she thought, I can't figure this guy out. He can't figure out what he wants. Write and don't write, kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we wrote each other throughout our mission. Yeah.
Did you ever tell her to only write once a month?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I know. It's kind of silly. Yeah.
How long did that last?
Well, that was towards the end of my mission,
Oh,
last
okay.
6 months or so.
Okay.
So, anyways, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's wild.
Yeah, the crazy things missionaries do. Yeah. Anyways.
So
but-
then you get home, she gets home 6 months later.
Yep.
How quickly are you engaged?
I would say, well, she went home and kind of said, give me some time to be
Oh,
at home. Yeah,
that's it.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
2 weeks later, I got to be around her again. And then
Yeah.
I don't think it was very long. I don't think it was more than gosh, I hope I say this right, Ron. I think it was like, it really literally was 6 weeks later. We got
Nice.
engaged,
Right
and
on.
then we got married in December. So she got, gosh, I don't even think
cool.
that's correct. It might have been 2 weeks because we got married in December and she got home in October.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but by that time, that was about 4.5 years that we had been
Yeah.
knowing each other.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
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 So it just had to figure out there at the very end if, okay, we're ready to pull the trigger, and
Yeah.
yeah. So
So where'd you guys get married?
Mesa Temple.
Oh, in Mesa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At the time, there's no Snowflake
Oh,
Temple.
yeah. There's no snowflake.
Yeah.
or
That was
Safford.
90.
Yeah,
That was in 96, 94. What am I saying? Arlen's
Okay.
born in 1996.
That's the year we graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. 94.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys get married, and then you're still going to ASU, or you had not started yet?
Let's see. The first 6 months of our marriage, I was at MCC.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still at MCC.
Yeah.
So you
She's
guys were
from the
married
beginning.
while you were.
Oh,
out
she
going
she put me through
and-
school. Yeah.
Nice.
She did the long haul.
Nice.
She earned her degree too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
all
we were
three-
very poor, very poor, you know. And
Yeah.
the thing she brought to that was her dedication and ability to say, I'm not gonna spend money. I'm gonna, help you to study and make time for you to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Even when we had kids, we had Arlen right there at the beginning, and that was very difficult. Arlen being up all night, you know how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so she really went through the long haul. She did the work.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so-
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you had Arlen while you were going to ASU?
Yes.
Okay. So that was,
Yeah.
yeah, early on.
And then fall of 97, I went up to Oregon and started a dental school up there.
Okay.
And
And
we
when-
had Tegan as our second,
There you go. Yeah.
and she was born in 99
So you were still
up in
dental
Oregon.
school.
She's our only Oregon kiddo.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we came back in 2001. And
Okay.
the story there, really quick story
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is we were talking and trying to find places to live. I was open to go back to the valley. Of course, I grew up in the valley.
Yeah.
But Ronlyn says, I'm a small town girl. I don't know if I want to live in the valley.
Okay.
And so we started looking around and making compromises of where we wanted to live.
Yeah.
And so I would travel back and fly back here and kind of go looking around at places that and practices that I was wanting to work at or buy.
Yeah.
And anyways, I didn't want to go to Safford, and not to offend anyone in Safford or any of that area. That just wasn't my first choice.
Okay.
And then we started looking at other areas. I mean, I looked at Prescott. I looked at we looked at Sierra Vista down there,
Okay.
because elevation and different
Yeah.
things. And so she had an uncle that was a doctor down there, and he was encouraging, "Come on down here. It's a great place." And
Yeah.
so I actually found a dentist down in Sierra Vista that I was starting to get contracts written with them, and I was spending money I didn't have on a lawyer to draw up contracts.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he pulled out, and that was probably February,
Okay.
March of my senior year. And so I was
Okay.
really stressing on where I was going to work.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but in fairness, Ron and I were kneeling down every night saying, "Heavenly Father, if it's not meant to be, don't let it happen."
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We want to go where we're supposed to go and raise our kids.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it didn't happen,
Yeah.
just like we asked not to happen. And then about 2 weeks later, after me sulking for 2 weeks, thinking my life had come to an end and I didn't have a place to go take my family with all this debt that we have.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a guy that I'd sent a letter to, and he was here in Cholo. And anyways, he says, "Are you still interested?" And I said, "You better believe I am."
Nice.
I mean, this is a great place. This was one of the areas,
Yeah.
and so I just jumped on it, and it just went perfectly. It's almost like the Lord said, "This is
This is where you need
This
to
is
be."
where you need to be."
Wow.
So we really initially were looking at getting a place somewhere in Cholo next to my work,
Yeah.
and Ronlin had a school buddy that was here. She was Chaz and Christy DeWitt. They were
Okay.
here. They were actually where the LeSueurs live. They were living in that home right
Oh,
there, for the
nice.
LeSueurs.
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, I've got this little rental over here. You can rent it for a little bit of time and see where you want to, move to, build a home. What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
So we actually went up to the old Crossman home, and that's a little trailer up there on the hill next to the Martins.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
anyways, we were there and living there for about a year, well, not quite a year, but we were there a little while.
Yeah.
Ronlin was pregnant with Stuart,
Stuart.
and
Okay.
that was April of 2002. We moved down into the home we're in right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But we came to Taylor area because of Christy DeWitt talking
Yeah.
to my wife.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we stayed here because we just fell in love with the people. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you come to this ward and you're just like, they either kick you out or you love the ward,
that's
but they
still-
sometimes kick you out.
That's still a sore subject. Dang it. Yeah. Well, that's that's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you graduated from dental school, was your plan always to own your own practice or buy a practice from or start your own practice? Was that always like you didn't want to just go work as a dentist for another practice?
I'm not a great person to work for someone when I think my ideas are what I want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so I was going to do or die it, and
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying I mean you come out thinking you know a lot, and then now I realize, wow, I didn't know a lot at all, and anyways, but somehow you fling it and you do it.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But
That
I didn't want to be an associate for someone or work at a company.
Okay.
And of course back then, like big dental corporations weren't a big deal then. It was
Yeah.
all private practices.
Right. Right.
So I didn't even think about dental companies back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome. So when you came here, did you take over the practice in Showa right away, or?
Well, it takes a little while to get your license up and going.
Okay.
And then I basically I moved here on my birthday in June.
Okay.
And then in July, I got my license, and then I worked as an associate while we were doing finalizing the paperwork.
Okay. Yeah.
And then August 13th was my day that I purchased it, 2001.
Wow, that's
And
quick.
just he
Yeah.
walked out the door, and I took over. And now the funny thing, this is funny. This is really funny. So, my parents were down in the valley,
Yeah.
and we were sitting up in Oregon at our table and talking, and my parents were kind of wanting to get out of the valley and different things. And I go, well, the guy that I was buying the practice from, his wife was the receptionist up at the front. I
Okay.
said, I'm going to need a receptionist. And we came up with the harebrained idea I was going to have my mother come and do be the receptionist. So she did.
Nice.
The crazy thing is we knew nothing. We knew nothing. And so the first night when we closed shop, we were there for hours, and there was tears and crying and different things. The first week was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then, but she helped. She's worked as my receptionist for quite a number of years.
That's
there in
awesome.
front, and yeah, I know, kind of crazy, but
That's wild.
that's what brought my parents up here
Okay.
to this area from the valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To help run the.
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
dental
Then my
practice.
dad, he was flying, and he was traveling from Sholo down to the valley to fly out of Sky Harbor.
Oh,
And then he had a little mini stroke, and so that he lost his license, and he was old enough to where he was like, okay, am I gonna wait a couple years to get my license back, or am I gonna go do something else?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, come in and run the finances of my office. So I had both my parents in there working there at my office for a little
That's
while.
awesome.
It was fun.
That's very cool.
It was good.
Nice. Now you've got quite a practice down there now. You
It's
got
fun
quite a
to see
few.
how it's grown. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been our dentist for a while, and yeah, I've seen things just kind of
Yeah.
move right along. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. We've been very blessed.
Yeah.
Great people to run that. Probably the best I've ever had.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really seriously.
Now you actually get to take some time off too, right?
Oh, do I take some time off?
You get to now. I know
Yeah.
early on you were like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was rough to be able to take time off, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Just
yeah.
'cause-
Now I feel like someone's there. So I actually got a partner in the business,
Yeah.
Chad Whiting, Dr. Whiting, and
Yeah.
he and I are partners now. And
Nice.
that's really a blessing because I feel like I can walk away
Yeah.
and it's still running and he's making decisions
Yep.
and so that's nice.
That's awesome.
And I only work 3 days a week now. And so
Nice.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, right on. So then, so you guys have. Oh, that's another thing we need to talk about. So your kids, you got. Yeah, Ron Lynn, Tegan,
So
Stuart.
Arlen.
Or
That's
sorry.
okay. No, that's good. I'm impressed. You remember? I'm impressed.
Arlen.
So Arlen,
Stuart, Tegan, Stuart,
Renell,
Renell, and then Duncan. And
Rulin.
or Rulin.
Yeah, Renell, Rulin, and then so there's
Rulin
6
and then Duncan.
in Duncan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Renell's a senior this year. She's graduating,
Yep.
and then Rulin is turning 14. He's an 8th grader,
Yeah.
and then Duncan is a 6th grader. He's
Yeah.
12, turning 13 in October.
Yeah. Can we talk about Duncan and how
Sure.
that all came about?
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I think it is interesting. Yeah. So we went to church one Sunday, and well, I'm gonna even back this up. I'm gonna back it up a little ways because
Okay.
I got a little road here before.
Okay.
So there's about 6 years between Stuart and Renell,
Yeah.
where we just couldn't have children. We
Yeah.
wanted to, and we just kind of felt a longing in our heart
Yeah.
that we wanted to.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about adoption.
Yeah.
And Ronlin says, no way. If we're gonna have children, we're gonna have children, you know.
Okay.
And so then a little bit of time went by. I even contacted LDS Family Services back then, and I said, I want to adopt. And they go, you got 3 kids. We're not,
Yeah.
there's other people that need to have children.
Yeah.
So finally, we were able to have Renell, and then we thought, okay, let's have one more real quick one. And the doctor said, no, you can't. It'll be impossible. So we kind of just stopped thinking about it. We had Renell as our caboose, and 4 years later came Rulin. So we were 40 when Rulin was born.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Renell was going to be the last one.
Well, the doctor said so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then we're going to church.
Yeah.
And it was Matt Perkins who was visiting with the visiting high councilman, and he starts speaking about his adoption experience and going to China and
Yeah, yeah.
adopting. And my wife had this hallelujah moment, inspiration, whatever. Okay, this is something we need to do. And she couldn't find a way to tell me. And so
Really?
then about 2 months later, we're watching this movie, and it's about adoption.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a neat little movie.
Yeah.
And so then she broke down and told me and said, okay, I really feel inspired. Heavenly Father wants us to adopt. And I didn't feel that, but I was like, your wife's always the more spiritual one. And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
anyone's going to receive the revelation, it's her.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do it. And so then we started looking into doing that. And it took us about 1.5 years to get that adoption process done and get Duncan here from China.
So how do you even start something like that? Like, is there?
So luckily we had Matt Perkins and his family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he kind of referred us to this agency in Colorado to go through.
Oh,
And
okay.
so then we started talking to them, and that's
Okay.
how we got it going. Yeah.
And then they set it all up. And
They set it all up, but then normally it doesn't take quite 1.5 years. And so that was the hard part, is there was a little bit of paperwork snafu and such. And
Okay.
I watched Ronlin, and you start praying for a kid you've never met before.
Right.
and you start loving them,
Yeah.
and all you've seen is a picture,
Yeah.
but you're praying for them, and your whole family's praying for them, and you've already named them, and you know.
So you already knew.
Yeah.
Really?
So you're looking at these dossiers of different children, and so we found the one that we felt inspired to go with.
And then it was a year and a half?
Well,
Or-
I would say probably from that point, it was probably 10 months.
Really?
It was a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were finally able to fly over there and get him. And so Ronlyn you felt her stressing and worrying, and I've got to
Yeah.
get over and get it's my child. I've got to get
Oh,
over
yeah.
there and go get him. You know, he's
Yeah.
mine.
Right.
And he's just, you know, who knows what's happening to him? Is he okay? You know, is he healthy?
Wow.
You know, all these things. And so finally we get over there and get him, and he's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen him, ball of energy.
He
Bless him.
is.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Smart as a whip, too.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old was he whenever you guys?
5.
He was 5. Okay.
5. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And was that a hard kind of transition? Was it a
You know, I mean, for us, no. I mean, yes and no. I mean,
Yeah.
he comes over not understanding English, and so that was
Right.
really, really tough.
Yeah.
But he was so fast in picking up English language,
Yeah.
and so smart, and just jumped right in. And of course, we had great neighbor kids. You know, the Rogers right next door, and he was playing with them, and it
yeah.
just seemed that he just took off and
Yeah.
and learned and grew so fast. Yeah,
That's
really
awesome.
impressive. So, yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Him and Ruin get along pretty good?
Oh, they're great fighting brothers.
Oh,
They
yeah.
really are.
That's
They're
perfect.
good. That's perfect. Yeah. They've both been a great blessing for each other. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
if they realize it quite yet.
They
but
will.
They will.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're going to be best friends, and
Oh, yeah.
and Duncan's been a great blessing to Rulin, and vice versa, Rulin
Oh,
to
yeah.
Duncan. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. I think they'll see it later on.
Very cool. Very cool. Oh man. What are we forgetting? What are we forgetting? There all kinds of stuff. So you guys been married how long now?
Since 94, so that's 30, coming on 32 years. Yeah, 31, 32 years. Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been wonderful.
That's
Yeah, of
very
course,
cool.
she's put up with me, so it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
both bring great things to the table, as
yeah.
every marriage, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And great, terrible things we bring to the table too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's usually the guys bringing the terrible
It-
things
it-
to the
Yeah,
table.
yes.
The wives
yes.
bringing all the good things. So
Yeah.
nice. Well, that's awesome. Well, I know I'm forgetting all kinds of stuff, but I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, I think. What are we forgetting?
So
Man, I
I'm going
don't
to tell you. Do I have like 2 minutes to
Oh,
tell a
yeah.
story
You
about
guys must-
about Vance Hoops?
No,
Yes, no. I've got to tell a story. I've got
No,
to tell a
there's not
story.
time. No, there's no time.
So when I was bishop, and he was the young men's president, and he got called in to be see the stake president by state president called him in, and needed to be seen by him, and he wanted to call him to be in the high council, right? You remember that?
Yep.
Yep, and you had just sent your suit off to get cleaned, and so he's like, I need a suit. So he borrowed my suit. If you can imagine this guy wearing my suit, I don't know how that even worked, but he borrowed my suit and went into the interview with
That
my
whole
suit on.
thing was just bizarro for me. 'Cause
That was great.
I had a goatee at the time also,
Uh-huh.
and I remember calling you saying, "Do I need to shave? Like what?"
For state conference
What
when you were
is
getting to
going
state,
on?
yeah.
And you're like, "Yeah, you probably should shave."
Yeah. Was
Like,
that
what?
President Farr, right?
I believe so.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
President Farr. He was a big no facial hair guy, So yeah, he said, no, you shave
That was
it.
devastating.
Then
for
you
me.
showed up and you had, then you shaved some of it. I can't remember what you left, but you left a
No.
little bit of it. And I said, oh no, you got to go back and shave the rest of it.
I think I just cut it short.
Yes, I think so,
Yeah, yeah.
or something. I go,
But I
oh,
still
no,
had the
you gotta-
goatee.
you
But I'd had the goatee for so long, and I was like, it was devastating. I was like, "Are you sure I need to shave?"
Yeah,
Like,
that was great.
oh yeah, you need to shave. And so that was traumatizing for my boys because
Yeah.
their whole life growing up, I always had a goatee, and I came out that morning after I shaved, and both of my boys were just like, what happened? Who are you?
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like,
great.
anyways.
Well,
Ah,
you're
that
a
was
great individual.
awful.
I look at you and I go, why can't I be more like
No,
Vance?
oh,
No,
stop
I
it.
swear,
No,
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 I
no, no,
do.
no,
I do that often where I think, man, I need to be
No.
more talented and be able
No.
to do. And
No.
oh yes, I do. I think it
No,
often.
well, I feel the same way.
No,
I've just,
yeah.
no. Yeah. Like I said, when we first moved up here, you were our bishop, and just huge influence in our lives. So I'm grateful to know you, and grateful that we got to talk and get to know a little more about you. And I know there's a ton more we could talk about, but
Yeah, we'd bore everyone to death.
another. No,
Probably
it's
already
been awesome.
bored them to death.
No, it's been awesome. So, anyways, thank you.
Well,
Thank you for
It's been an honor.
thank you for sharing some stuff, and appreciate it. So,
Thank you.
thanks everybody for joining us. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Okay.